If people don't fear losing you, they won't treat you like a priority. That sounds harsh, but it's how the mind works. We value what feels scarce, we protect what we might lose, and we take for granted what's always there. So, here's the dark, honest strategy. Don't beg for love. Build gravity. Not intimidation, not cruelty. Gravity. The kind that makes people lean in because they know your presence isn't guaranteed. Today I'll show you how to create that pull ethically, clearly, and confidently, so the people in your life respect your time, honor your standards, and fear losing you for all the right reasons. Let me start with the mental switch most of us miss. We assume love grows when we give more, say yes more, and show up more. But the brain quietly plays a different game. It tracks rarity, effort, and risk. If something is always available, the brain stops scanning for it. It drifts into the background like a song you've heard 100 times. Nice, familiar, and easy to ignore. Attention is a product of potential loss. Think about your phone battery at 5%. Suddenly, every decision matters. You prioritize, you protect, you stop wasting taps. That same urgency appears in relationships when your presence isn't automatic. Not threatened, not manipulative, just not guaranteed. A quick story. A friend of mine, let's call him the fixer, was everyone's emergency contact. Need a ride? He's there. Need a favor at midnight? He's there. People liked him, sure, but they used him. He mistook access for affection. Then he made one small change. Before saying yes, he asked himself, if I do this, am I disrespecting my own time? He began saying, I can help Saturday, not tonight. Or, I'm not available for that, but I wish you well. Did people get mad? A few. But something else happened. Those who stayed started checking his availability like it mattered. His calendar wasn't a blank page anymore. It had borders. And within those borders, his presence became premium. Power in relationships isn't about controlling people. It's about controlling access to yourself. Machiavelli's old-school version was blunt. Better to be feared than loved if you can't be both. The modern translation? Be respected first, because love without respect turns into convenience. You're not a vending machine. You're a person with a door that opens and closes. Remember this line. When your time becomes precious to you, it becomes precious to others. Scarcity creates focus. Focus creates care. Care creates respect. So how do you create healthy scarcity without playing cold games? You start with the quiet power that sets the tone for everything else. Standards. Standards are the invisible contracts you have with yourself. They're not about punishing others. They're about protecting your peace. Most people think standards are what you tell others. Not true. Standards are what you consistently do. You don't teach people how to treat you. You demonstrate what being around you requires. And the demonstration is boringly consistent. If you tolerate lateness indefinitely, your standard is lateness. If you tolerate disrespect masked as jokes, your standard is humiliation with a smiley face. If you answer every message immediately, anytime, any mood, your standard is on-demand access. Let me ground this with a real-world scene. Imagine you're dating someone who cancels plans last minute. Again, you want to be understanding, so you say, it's okay. They feel relieved, you feel disappointed, and the pattern survives. Now watch how a standard shifts the power dynamic. You respond, thanks for letting me know. I plan my week carefully, so last-minute changes don't work for me. Let's try again when we can commit. No anger, no guilt trip, just clarity. You didn't punish. You set a precedent. Time with you is scheduled, not squeezed. And it's not just romance. At work, a client keeps saying, just one more thing. Your new standard, happy to help. I can do A or B this week. What's your priority? You push the decision back where it belongs and protect your bandwidth. That's a boundary wearing a blazer. Here's the part people miss. Standards require the courage to lose what doesn't meet them. That's the tiny Machiavellian edge. You aren't threatening anyone. You're accepting reality. If someone can only be in your life by violating your standards, then you're already losing. The fear of loss should never live only on your side. Standards are the soft armor of self-respect. They're not spikes. They're the smooth, clear surface people learn to handle with care. And every time you uphold a standard calmly, you send one message. This is how I value my life. Most people will rise to it. Those who won't simply identify themselves. Once your standards are clear, you add the next layer of gravity. Not distance for drama. Distance for definition. Strategic distance is not ghosting. It's not silent treatment. It's the rhythm of closeness that lets people feel the edges of your presence. Human attention responds to contrast. Without contrast, even love turns into wallpaper. Consistency earns trust. Variation maintains interest. You need both. Think of it like breathing. Inhale, exhale. Moments of connection, moments of independence. When you're always on, the connection dulls. When you're always off, trust erodes. Strategic distance is the art of stepping back just enough that people lean forward. A colleague of mine was in a relationship, constant texting, last-minute hangouts, no real movement. She felt anxious, but her partner felt entertained. Her instinct was to send longer messages to get clarity. Nothing happened. She tried something else. She didn't pull away with attitude. She filled her life with better uses of time. Gym class, dinner with friends, a book club. She answered when free, not on demand. She suggested plans in advance, not maybe later. Within 2 weeks, he asked, "Hey, everything good?" Not because she played games, but because she stopped being ambient. She became eventful, and eventful people are worth scheduling. Here's the tactic that changes the game. Convert default availability into intentional availability. You stop replying instantly just to manage someone else's insecurity. You stop subordinating your schedule to accommodate disorganization. You let slight delays exist. You let "I'll get back to you tomorrow" be a normal sentence. The brain feels that pause and attaches more value to the eventual response. But listen carefully. Strategic distance fails if it's powered by spite. The energy must be self-directed, not other-directed. You're not withdrawing to punish. You're living to expand. The more you fill your life with meaningful commitments, your health, your craft, your friendships, the more your presence becomes naturally scarce. People fear losing what feels alive and in motion, not what feels like a sulking protest. Distance is clearest when your life is full, not when your phone is silent. Fill your life, and your presence buys its own scarcity. Now that your rhythm is set, we layer in the signal that makes people recognize you as a prize, not a placeholder. Value signaling isn't bragging. It's alignment between what you say you value and how you actually live. People don't fear losing a pitch. They fear losing a pattern of excellence they can feel. Self-worth is persuasive when it's observable. If you say you're focused, but anyone can interrupt you, your story collapses. If you say health matters, but your sleep and meals are chaos, the message blurs. When your actions line up, your life broadcasts a frequency. There's quality here. Quality is not flashy, it's consistent. And people instinctively protect quality. Let's anchor this with a workplace example. 2 colleagues, same role. One says yes to everything, works late, answers at all hours. The other sets priorities, delivers clean work, and says, "I'll have a draft by Thursday," then hits Thursday with a calm, polished result. Guess which one leadership fears losing? Not the frantic hero, the reliable professional. Scarcity isn't just fewer hours, it's higher standards per hour. In relationships, value signaling sounds like this: I'm not interested in confusion. I'm available for commitment, mutual effort, and warmth. If that's not where you are, that's okay, but I won't stay in the maybe. There's no tantrum in that sentence. There's posture, and posture is magnetic. People don't fear losing noise, they fear losing signal. Make your life signal-rich, aligned habits, clear standards, and a calm pace. That signal tells the truth. If someone mishandles you, you won't beg, you'll bow out. You've got the core: scarcity through self-respect, standards that teach without yelling, distance that creates definition, and value that speaks for itself. Next, we'll discuss the real, day-to-day tactics. The difference between micro-withdrawals and stonewalling, the 2-offer rule for plans, the exact words to use when someone tests your standards, and how to walk away without burning bridges, but leaving a clear lesson behind. Here's a common trap. When people first hear about strategic distance, they confuse it with punishment. They stop talking, stop responding, and call it power. But silence born from anger is not power, it's a tantrum in disguise. The true Machiavellian edge is subtle, intentional, and calm. Enter micro-withdrawals. Small, quiet shifts in energy that signal your independence without sparking unnecessary war. Think of it like dimming the lights, not cutting the power. Example: You notice someone constantly interrupting you. Instead of snapping back or sulking in silence, you start pausing mid-sentence. You let the interruption sit. Then, calmly, you resume or redirect. That tiny pause forces them to notice the interruption. They feel the gap. That's a micro-withdrawal. Another example, a partner grows careless with texting, short replies, late responses. Instead of bombarding them with what's wrong or mirroring the coldness with hours of silence, you simply match reality with dignity. If they're late in responding, you stop rewarding that pattern with instant replies. You don't cut off. You calibrate. Suddenly, your responses carry weight again. Absence is loud only when presence has value. The silent treatment creates fear, resentment, and defensiveness. Micro-withdrawals create awareness. They gently remind the other person, I am not endlessly available. My energy has contours. Respect them or feel the edges. When tempted to punish with silence, ask yourself, am I retreating to punish them, or am I returning to myself? If it's the latter, it's healthy space. If it's the former, it's manipulation. Never confuse emotional starvation with emotional discipline. Micro-withdrawals discipline attention. Silent treatment starves connection. One keeps respect alive, the other kills it slowly. And once you master small, intentional withdrawals, you add structure to the bigger picture. The way you handle time itself can make people either protect your presence or waste it. Here's a universal truth. If your time looks limitless, people treat it like scrap paper. But if your time feels structured, they treat it like a ticket, something to secure, not something to squander. The two-offer rule is one of my favorite ways to create calendar gravity. Simple, elegant, powerful. Here's how it works. When someone asks to meet, hang out, or collaborate, you give two clear options that fit your life. I'm free Tuesday evening or Saturday afternoon. Which works better? That's it. Why does this work? First, it frames your time as pre-allocated. Your life is already full. You are not waiting. Second, it subtly reminds people that access to you happens on your terms. You're not rejecting them. You're inviting them into a structured space. A client of ours constantly said yes to last-minute hangouts with friends who never respected her schedule. She felt drained and invisible. She applied the two-offer rule. Instead of sure, whenever, she replied, I can do Thursday dinner or Sunday coffee. Guess what? Her friends started locking in dates early. No more midnight texts like you up. Her calendar became a gate, not a free-for-all. And with that gate, her social energy became gold. People respect what they have to plan for. Scarcity is not only about how often they see you. It's about how intentional the encounter feels. Another layer, cancel strategically. If someone repeatedly cancels on you, stop re-offering infinite chances. Use the two-offer rule once more. If they drop the ball again, you gracefully say, looks like our schedules aren't aligning. Let's try again in the future. No drama. Just signal, I don't beg for time. My calendar is alive, with or without you. Your time is a gallery ticket. People value it when it's framed, scheduled, and limited. Stop handing out wristbands to an empty room. But here's the real test. What happens when someone pushes past your standards? Testing if you really mean what you say? That's where your response cements everything. Here's the truth. No matter how clearly you set a standard, someone will test it. Not always maliciously, sometimes out of habit, sometimes out of curiosity. The question isn't if they test you, it's how you respond. Every test is either a classroom or a courtroom. In a classroom, you teach calmly. In a courtroom, you argue desperately. Which one do you think builds respect? Example, a friend keeps showing up late, despite your earlier boundary. The courtroom response is, you don't respect me. You're always late. That breeds defensiveness. The classroom response, you stop waiting. You say, I'll wait 10 minutes, then I'll start without you. And you do. One repetition of that, and the lesson is loud. Another example, in dating, someone flirts with disrespect, joking at your expense. Instead of snapping back or sulking, you calmly say, I don't enjoy being joked about like that. If it happens again, I'll step away. Then, if it happens again, you step away. That's teaching, not threatening. Your calm enforcement teaches better than your loud frustration. When you enforce boundaries without drama, you broadcast strength. You're saying, I am not moved by pressure. I am moved by principles. That's power people remember. Always state the standard once, with clarity. Then let your action do the rest. one verbal cue, one behavioral follow-up. No third lecture. Your actions are the lesson plan. Boundaries don't need billboards. They need doors. You knock once, then you close. People either step inside respectfully or remain outside. Either way, you stay at peace. Now, sometimes the ultimate test comes, not in small slips, but in big patterns. That's when you use the nuclear option of power, walking away. Walking away is the ultimate Machiavellian move, not because it's cold, but because it's final. Fear of loss becomes real only when loss is possible. And sometimes, it has to happen. Your greatest leverage in any relationship is the ability to leave with dignity. People sense when you're trapped. They also sense when you're free. Walking away isn't rage quitting. It's measured. It's when your standards and actions no longer align with the environment, and you step out without drama. Romantic, professional, or social, it all applies. Here's the twist. People often return when they realize you won't. That's not always reconciliation. It's proof of gravity. You made them feel the real possibility of absence, and absence sharpens value. Before walking away, ask yourself, am I leaving to be chased, or am I leaving because my peace demands it? If it's the first, you're gambling. If it's the second, you're growing. The walk away isn't about making them suffer. It's about proving to yourself, you can live without what doesn't honor you. That's the kind of independence that commands lifelong respect. And now, all the pieces are in place. Standards, distance, value, teaching, and the walk away. The last piece is weaving them into one bold truth you'll never forget. Let's tie this together. Everything we've talked about flows into one central idea. People fear losing you not because you manipulate them, but because you live as though you're already complete without them. That's the paradox of power. Your strength doesn't come from holding people tighter, it comes from being able to release them. Scarcity isn't about stinginess, it's about clarity. Standards aren't about control, they're about self-respect. Distance isn't about punishing, it's about contrast. Teaching isn't about scolding, it's about showing. Walking away isn't about revenge, it's about liberation. When you embody these, you create a gravity field. People lean in because they know you won't beg. They respect you because you respect yourself. They protect you because, deep down, they know they could lose you, and that loss would cost them. Think about the people you admire most. Are they clingy? Do they beg? Or do they live with standards, clarity, and purpose? That's what makes them unforgettable. That's what makes losing them unthinkable. So, here's the challenge, and it's not easy. Look at your life today. Where are you overgiving? Where are you undervaluing yourself? Where are you hoping people will treat you better than you treat yourself? Choose one area, just one, where you'll set a standard this week. Not with anger, not with fear, but with calm self-respect. Watch how the energy shifts. Watch how people suddenly notice the value you've had all along. Because in the end, Machiavelli wasn't entirely wrong. Fear has power. But in modern relationships, it's not fear of cruelty, it's fear of absence. Fear of losing someone irreplaceable. Fear of losing you. And the only way to make people fear losing you is to live in such a way that you don't fear losing them. Be the person whose presence feels like a privilege, not a possession. That's when respect becomes automatic. That's when love deepens. And that's when people will do everything to never risk losing you.